What's up, guys, and welcome back. Hope you're having a good one. If you're a fan of Destroy, then buckle up. We have a great deck for you today. Kill Bounce is an insane deck that abuses the energy reduction of both Death and She-Hulk combined with Hitmonkey's power. It is absolutely insane at slapping the decks that are just plaguing the Marvel Snap ladder at the moment. And on top of that, sue me, but you know, I like to have fun in Marvel Snap, and this one doesn't let you down. Now, right off the bat, why does this deck just slap? Well, first of all, you're going against probably Sandman and or a combo deck at the moment, and then probably Galactus a good amount too. And this deck freaking slaps against all of those, trust me. With the Sandman deck, they're relying on the Doom and Odin, and they're stacking that annoying combo. But you have big cards to go ahead and take care of those single lanes to win those over. And then at the same time, if you're going against a combo deck, then obviously Hitmonkey and all of the Beast Bounce interactions is great. So we're going to go ahead and kick off by breaking down all of the cards so that you understand their roles in the deck. And then we're going to hop into the turn by turn so you know exactly what to do on every single turn with this deck. Now we start with 1-cost cards, and we have to have Iceman in the deck. I don't care if he's Destroy. I don't care if he has synergy with Hitmonkey. This is a great disruption card, and naturally with Beast in the deck, Iceman is one of the top cards to play multiple times. Guys, I kid you not, Iceman might be the best single counter card right now in Marvel Snap to just go against everything that you're seeing on the ladder. Things like Sandman, Professor X, both ramp cards, and Electro and Wave. Doesn't matter if they get hit by an Iceman because you have to play those cards on curve. So moving on to Hood, guys, he usually works out to be a 2-cost 4 power once you play them both on the board with Demon as well. However, we can many times turn this into a 3-cost 14 power or even crazier with Moon Girl. Now, obviously, Hood is going to synergize with both Beast and Carnage, but he's also fantastic against Shang-Chi because obviously he can't counter him, and it's great to power up Hitmonkey for a cheap cost. Really, the only thing to note is you don't want to Killmonger your demon, so just be careful on how you play that out. Next, we move on to Yondu, who is still awesome in this deck, even with American Chavez switching to the bottom of the deck instead of Yondu killing the top, right? On top of that, he's just perfect for intel. We can go ahead and tell what kind of deck the opponent is playing depending on the card that we snipe. And also, we just ruin combos. If it's a Sandman deck and we get rid of Odin, they're screwed, right? We can also lower Death's cost, build Knull's power. All of this at the same time consecutively is just insane with one card. Next, we have Nova, who is probably our most replaceable card and or package in the deck. However, cloning Nova can lead to some massive power spikes and or just a good surprise card to have on turn 6. When paired with Mysterios as well, we have plenty of bodies to feed that bonus power too when using Killmonger on the last turn. Alright, Hitmonkey, guys, the face of the deck. Now, he obviously synergizes with just about every card here, as we're looking for low or no energy cards to be the engine of this deck. Now, whether played on turn 4 with Mysterio for just good value, or you play him with a large amount of cards on turn 6, or even when he's just paired with Beast at a reduced cost, Hitmonkey absolutely slaps in this deck, and you're definitely going to see that today. Now, continuing on, we have Beast, and outside of making all of our 1-cost cards reduced to 0 for the Hitmonkey synergy, Beast just gives us multiple ways to trigger kill counts for Death and Knull. Like I said, bouncing back either Carnage, Yondu multiple times is awesome, but just having Hitmonkey at a low cost and playing him even twice is straight up ridiculously broken. Now, let's talk about Carnage in the deck. Freaking love him. He's here to go ahead and clear things like debris, rocks that the opponent places, Mysterio's illusions that we place down, any bad locations like squirrels or ninjas. Green Goblin is really popular, and Hobgoblin, we can get rid of those. Galactus lanes that they try to clog us, we can also clear that for more playing against the deck. And we have the Death and Knull synergy as usual. Now, on top of this, we also have the ability to bounce him back and get even more power with the card, which, when you add this all up for a last turn play, is just a huge power spike that the opponent doesn't see coming. And for our last 2-cost card, we have Mysterio. Now, obviously, he's mainly here for Hitmonkey, and I've left him out on some versions of the build. However, he has Carnage synergy as well. But in addition, he also creates a ton of bodies to soak up the Nova like we talked about. And because this is a Destroy deck, we just don't have to really worry about having our board too full, as we're clearing it out so much of the time. And sometimes when you do Moon Girl Mysterio, you can play them all out, and then Carnage, there's a lot of wacky things you can do, on top of just the pure head games that he offers against the opponent. Now, the 1-3-cost card we have is Killmonger, and this guy's absolutely perfect for the deck. But he's also perfect to counter the majority of the meta right now that people don't realize. Ultron, no big deal. We can play him on the last turn of the game without priority, and yeah, we win that game. Sandman, you can kill Ebony Maws, you can kill Zeros and Titanias, Zoodex, He's perfect for triggering our Nova, and he also gives us a fast route to Knull power and or death's cost reduction with our own cards, but obviously also the opponent's. Now, Moon Girl is a lot of the reason this deck exists because of the flooding that you can do with Hitmonkey, She-Hulk, and Death. She is actually one of the more important pieces in the deck, and as I've talked about before, your opponent has no idea what cards we're going to clone, and on top of that, it doesn't matter what we're cloning because everything gives us value, either for Hitmonkey or Destroy. More often than not, we're going to play this card just about every game that we do pull her. Now, one of the two 6-cost cards, we start with She-Hulk, and we're going to be brief. You guys know her by now. But She-Hulk is here mainly for her synergy with not only the Moon Girl and skipping turn 5, but being able to play multiple 9-power cards on top of Hitmonkey. And then we combine all of that with our other 6-cost or, 9-cost card in Death. Now, most of the time, if you pull Death, you're going to be able to play Death. We have so many things to trigger Destroy and or the opponent that you can always get this out. And then obviously the best part is if you get the She-Hulk and Death and you Moon Girl them all, just the turn 6s are absolutely crazy. Now, a lot of you guys are probably wondering, why not Wave in the deck? And I'll tell you, we have Wave in one of the decks that we're playing today. But the main deck, I don't have Wave because, well, everybody's playing Wave. They do the job for us, right? Which is fantastic. But it also doesn't synergize with our Hitmonkey, so we don't always need to have Wave. Now, of course, I do love Death Wave. You can definitely throw it in there, but most of the time, these people, again, are doing our job for us. Now, let's go ahead and look at the decks as a whole. We've talked about the cards. Let's look at the two versions. Now, Kill Bounce is probably the more dependable one that has a bit more surprise factor behind it, and you can really flood the board with She-Hulk, Death, and the clones. This is the one I'll be playing with more today in the games that I showcase, and the ones that we talked about with the synergy on the turn-by-turn. But if you want to play with Knull, if you want to have Wave mixed in there, and you want to have a bit more greedy of a deck, but also slaps as you hunt for power, obviously, we do have the Kill Bounce Knull edition. And just a couple of changes. We have Falcon in the deck to call back our cards multiple times. We also have Beast to do the exact same thing. And we have Knull and Wave. Both of these work well. I probably prefer the other version, the one without Knull. But there's times where Knull has gotten the job done, and especially against Galactus, if that's what you're going up against the most. Guys, the point of this deck is to be fun. It's a really competitive deck that's also a ton of fun, and experiment. You don't have to go off these two builds. Feel free to plug in some different things. I've tried most of them, but hey, who knows? You can maybe make the deck even better. Now, I go back and forth on Knull. I love the card. In himself, he's a Galactus counter, right? That's awesome. And bouncing all these destroy options back with the Yondus and the Killmongers to get rid of Ebony Maws. I mean, his power builds up pretty damn fast, but I probably prefer the version without him. Both are really great, and this one's a bit more greedy. If you don't have him, obviously the whole Death Wave interaction is so bonkers right now that Leader is still a great one to go in there too. Because typically with this deck, you do have priority, or Killmonger got rid of their cards, so giving you priority, right? So Leader, also a great one that I did not talk about yet. All right, guys, let's go to kick off the turn-by-turn and start with the first turn. We have loads of one-cost drops, so there's a lot of decision-making here, actually. And we want to prioritize Iceman. He should always be the first one-cost drop that you throw on the board if you do have him, followed by the Hood, then Yondu, and then finally Nova if you happen to have him in your deck. Now, heading into turn 2, it's a lot like turn 1, except we can now play multiple one-cost drops. If you happen to have Beast, then you can definitely stack them all into the same lane, and or Carnage. You don't have to worry about filling out that location. Now, if you don't have any of this to play, you can always do Hitmonkey and or Carnage if you do have Beast in hand as well. And you can play them in the same lane that you did your one drop, and then you can pick them all up on the next turn with Beast. Now, of course, we don't want to play Mysterio on this turn, and let's head to turn 3. Now, in turn 3, we have even more one cost that we can go ahead and dump on the board, always remembering our turn 1 order. Now, in addition to that, you can also play Carnage on all these one cost drops if you don't have Beast by now. We need to start lowering Death's cost, and that is a big priority at this moment. If you are running Falcon in your deck, this is definitely one that you can play early and get Falcon out there if you need to. And or if you're beasting everything back, you're going to start collecting these cards to play a big Hitmonkey. Now, a quick reminder, if you were able to play Iceman a couple of times, they're probably screwed, and you can play a little bit more aggressive. Now, in turn 4, dumping our 0 cost outside of Yondu and playing Moon Girl is pretty much always the priority, especially if She-Hulk and Death are in the more left part of your hand. The way this deck works, you typically don't have a huge hand, and you're able to clone everything in it. Now, our best Moon Girl targets are going to be She-Hulk, Death, Hitmonkey, and or the bounce cards like Demon. However, if they did play Electro, which you're going to see a lot, then you want to play everything right now. If you have Hitmonkey, Mysterio, drop those on the board. If you have Hitmonkey and a lot of zero cost that you bounce back, play them all now because this is the last turn to play multiple cards. Lastly, if you can do Falcon and Beast together. Really good combo to just keep on laying down those one-cost drops. You'll be building up an insane amount of Yondu killing targets, Iceman to disrupt, or just have a ridiculous amount of demons in hand. Now, heading into turn 5, this one is usually pretty simple. If you have multiple clones of She-Hulk, then you're always just going to skip this turn for the most part. Unless you happen to be playing the Wave version, then you could play Wave here instead. Now, if you don't have She-Hulk and you just got, let's say, Moon Girl, then you can go ahead and play her to copy up multiple deaths. But if your death is not ready to play and you're looking at all of your other options, then probably playing cards like Killmonger and Nova or your Carnage or anything to get the Destroyer going like Yondu might be the best idea to reduce death's cost. And then, of course, you can always play Hitmonkey's combo now, especially pay attention to death's cost. If you don't play Wave, you're going to really only be able to play like death in one card. So Hitmonkey in that case would be played best earlier rather than later. Now, heading into turn 6, this is where we drop the bomb. We release the power. We're going to dump our 2 She-Hulks potentially, our 2 Deaths potentially, and our Hitmonkey for a colossal amount of power for an easy game win. Or simply, you just drop the biggest power that you have on the board on their big lanes, right? You can contest and go after the lanes that they're winning by a lot because you have huge, tall power cards. If you're able to destroy enough and you got Galactus, then you can go ahead and play Knull if that's the card that you have and give him the priority. And then lastly, we can always play Killmonger. Maybe you cloned a couple of Novas, and you can spread all that power out to these Mysterios and Hitmonkeys on the board. There's a lot that you can do on this turn, and every game will be a little bit different. Now, last thing, as a quick tip, if you got Galactus and you don't have Death, let's say, you can go ahead and play some like big cards that aren't over 9 power for Shang-Chi, right? You can play Demon, Mysterio, and Hitmonkey. You can save them all together and do She-Hulk with that as well. And typically, you can even beat whatever you're going against in Galactus. Just kind of keep in mind Knull's power numbers. All right, so heading into a game, we have turn 1 with a hand of Killmonger, Carnage, Mysterio, and we have Death. Now, Death's domain is the first location that pops up, which is obviously going to be pretty nice for our deck. We don't obviously have Knull in this one, but it's obviously going to help us go and lower Death's cost. And we can go and use it to auto-explode Nova if we happen to pull them. Now, I skip turn 1. We really can't do anything, and we head into turn 2. And our location is going to be Washington, D.C. So, right off the bat, we do have some synergy here with our Mysterios as well as our Demon. But we have Iceman to play here, and that's the logical play. So, we're going to just put him in the middle and start trying to make a bounce-back lane if we do pull Beast. Into turn 3, we have Monster Island, which is usually a location if I don't have Shang-Chi, I don't go for because it's pretty easy for them to just take it from you. And we have a bit of a weird hand. We have Moon Girl. I know I would love to be able to copy the Death that we have, but she's on the far right. And we have Killmonger, Carnage, and Mysterio. So not exactly a great hand, but because obviously Mysterio, we can go and eat his little clones or illusions there with Carnage, I decided to play him early. We play Mysterio, we get him out, didn't want to Moon Girl Mysterio, and we have Death's Domain that's going to proc 1 death, so it's kind of a nice little extra bonus there. And he plays Debris, which tells me it's a junk deck and or a Patriot deck at this point. And luckily, we have ways to clear the board. It's great because right now with all the Galactuses, there's a lot of junk decks and a lot of decks that push stuff to your side, right? So definitely nice to have something that can clear that out of the way. So now on this turn, we're into turn 4, and instead of Moon Girling, because we have just a little bit too many cards in hand, we do elect to go ahead and snap here. Feeling pretty confident. We're going to lower death count a ton with Carnage in the middle, and we have Nova as a free death domain pop-off. Everything's looking really good at this point. And because he has Debris, we are going to hold off on our Killmonger. Just in case it is a Patriot deck, we want to make sure that we don't play it too early. And we kill our cards, and out comes Patriot. So he has Patriot on the board, and this pretty much tells me one thing, right, guys? Ultron is probably coming, right? He's going to depend on the Washington, D.C. finish and Death Domain, which, to his point, is a really good advantage. This guy's got, like, the perfect locations to play Ultron, which is probably why he's going to get overconfident here. So my hand is something interesting. There's a lot of different plays that we can do. All I know is we don't want priority and or we want to get deaths, right? So looking what we can do, how do we get deaths count down the most? Well, it was tempting. If we played Killmonger, clearly we would get her count down a good amount. But I elect on playing Moon Girl on the left side. I played it on Death's Domain, as well as Yondu. We play both of them on Death's Domain. They both die, and Yondu kills a card. So I knew we were going to get our death count down a ton. We clone all of the cards in hand. We get 2 Killmongers, 2 deaths, and then the beautiful 2 Novas if we want to play both of those into Death's Domain. It's pretty obvious what this guy's going to do, right? So he has priority, fantastic. And then on top of that, look at the hand that we have here. Don't have to worry about the middle location, not at all. And the left location, everything's going to die. So we just need big power in one of the locations. And there are a million ways to do that. We have multiple deaths. We have Killmonger. We have Nova. So I was kind of having fun with, like, what do I want to do here outside of Killmonger? So did some thinking. It's funny because at first the 2 deaths seemed like a really good play, right? But the more I thought about it, again, we just need to stack the right lane. So we just put in a death. We put in the Killmonger there. And then just like the cherry on top, I throw in the Nova into Death's Domain. Now, would I have lost if he did anything other than Ultron here? I still think I would have been okay because we're going to win the right side most likely no matter what. And then that Killmonger protected the rock side that we were losing on Death's Domain. Either way, we decided to lay in the bed that we made, right? And his card is, lo and behold, Ultron. He floods the board. It's a beautiful sight. And yeah, we've got our Killmonger to just destroy the entire board here. And this actually happened on about 5 different games. This is just one that I happened to record. And so it was great, right? Just really cool stuff to be able to counter a pretty strong archetype at the moment in Patriot. And the Nova to just explode at the end was a absolute chef's kiss. So really strong deck overall. And again, it does well against Sandman, Ultron, Galactus. It can do pretty solid against, especially if you run the Knull version. Alrighty, guys, so for our game here, we have Sinister London as our first location. We are playing the non-Knull version of the deck, as you can see down below. And our opening hand is Hitmonkey, Nova, Killmonger, and Beast. And right away, really like our chances with Sinister London and Beast. Already kind of a combo made in heaven. We just have to manage our hand correctly. So turn 1, I decided to do something a little unconventional. I'm going to play the Nova into Sinister London. Don't love doing this as it gives away that I probably have a Killmonger, but I couldn't pass up the double Nova bonus, and so definitely decided to go that route. And our middle location is going to be Isle of Silence, which not a huge deal. We don't have a lot of ongoing cards, really no ongoing cards with this deck. And at this point, very easy decision because we're able to have 2 copies of this, and I already have Beast in hand. I decided to go ahead and put Hitmonkey down. We have Quantum Realm on turn 3, so I decided to go with Yondu to get double kills and put Beast down to bounce them back. Now, at this point, it's a snap, right? I think I have a pretty good firm foundation of a crazy hand. We have Yondu triggering twice, so if I pull Death, her cost is going to be down to nothing. And then if we happen to pull both Hitmonkeys, we knew it was going to be all but over. So we kill a Cosmo, we kill an Enchantress, and we start picking up our cards here. We have a free Nova now, a free Hitmonkey, a free Yondu, and finally, do we get another free Hitmonkey? We don't, but we get another Nova and Yondu. So we have quite the hand. So he puts his Viper down on Hood, pushes it to my side, and plays a double Demon. Now, this is fine for 2 reasons. A, the junk deck, and I don't have to worry about it because I have Killmonger to get rid of not only both of the Demons, but also the Hood that he pushed over. So now we're about to send the farm, right, guys? And I have to be a little careful because I need to counter all of his 1 cost, but I want to get as many cubes as possible to do so. But I'm kind of running out of space, right? So we're going to go Yondu. That's even more cards killed. And we're pretty much thinning out his deck to nothing at this point. And then finally, I elect to go, obviously, with Hitmonkey. Now, again, not a huge deal because I'm going to clear the board yet again with the Killmonger, opening up my Sinister London, right? So he plays a Shang-Chi, which makes absolutely no sense. Maybe he was mistaken on priority. But doesn't really matter at this point as we're going to go ahead and do more Yondus onto the board here. And Hitmonkey goes up to 4. Nothing crazy, but the other one goes up to 10. And we head into turn 5. So usually on turn 5, we play absolutely nothing. But in this case, it was good to play both Nova and Killmonger. And to my surprise, the guy snaps, which I'm blown away by. We're about to blow his demons away and kill everything on my side of the board. And at the same time, we're going to be boosting up everything with the Nova in hand, right? So big pop off here. A lot of crazy card killing. Just the whole board getting freaking wiped. And all of our cards are going up in power. And Quantum Realm, I know at this point, is not going to be able to be taken. And he has Captain Marvel. So at this point, I'm kind of surprised that Mal is still here. But you know what? I got to give it to him. Definitely probably snapped, right? Because he thought my board was full. And now it's quite empty, right? We did pull Death, and that's just going to be really, like, the guy's already dead, and we're going to kick him while he's down. We're going to play both She-Hulk and Death, obviously, into Sinister London. Now, I get so excited about all this power that I forgot to play my Mysterio. Don't really know what happened. Could have played Mysterio middle for an extra 4 power, but luckily, we were just absolutely trashing this guy with total power. No disrespect to him, but just absolute crazy amount of power on the board. In the turn, forget to put the Mysterio down, but again, either way, it's looking like a pretty good win no matter what he is going to play. And his final card is going to be Magneto, which, you know, big power. All props to him. Moves my Killmonger over, and we still had a 3-lane victory with the Captain Marvels going farther and faster to nothingness. So, good play there overall. Definitely some misplays on his end, but it does show the capabilities of, with the right locations, which Destroy typically has a lot going for it. Death Domain and then things like Sinister London. The deck's insane. Alrighty, now as we enter this game, guys, we have She-Hulk, Carnage, the Hood, and Moon Girl. And a lot going for us right off the bat, right? She-Hulk, left side of the hand. Already love that. Moon Girl, right side, good to go. And we have Carnage and Hood. So right off the bat, loving my odds. So I think it's pretty obvious. We're going to play the Hood down. Probably play multiple turns here and get a lot of demons. Start to really stack them up to go if we do get something like Hitmonkey. Now, he throws Nova on the board, and right away, this kind of puts me on the defensive. Obviously, I have a good amount of one-cost cards. Need to be careful with that. And we're building up these demons. So this whole entire time, starting from now, I do not want priority, right? He's probably going to have Killmonger, and we want him to go ahead and have priority so he can't kill my giant plays of demons that I plan on flooding the board with. So we play Hood yet again, bounce back, another demon in hand. And the last location is Onslaught Citadel. So we play yet another hand here on turn 3, and I like to play both the Hood, and it's going to give us a demon, but because our hand is full, we get to go with Carnage. Now, I tried to put the Carnage and Hood down. That was a miscalculation as far as just cards in hand, but either way, I still put a little bit of power on the board, which is completely fine, right? Now, we head into turn 4, and again, we don't want priority, so I can't do all that much, right? We don't want to dump the demons down because he's going to kill them all with Killmonger that we assume he has in hand. And we want to play Moon Girl because we have one spot to go ahead and get that She-Hulk and get a double copy. Now, I, for whatever reason, thought maybe I should play that on Onslaught Citadel. Definitely nope out of that, and we elect to play it on Luke's bar because obviously it won't bounce back. So he plays double cards. He has a Sentinel that he's going to go ahead and play. And would you look at that, guys? We are on turn 5. So not a bad setup. We're doing everything we want. He has priority definitely at this point. And, you know, again, it's tempting. I want to just load the board with all these demons and Hitmonkeys and good God almighty. But obviously, guys, we're going to go ahead and skip our turn. And that is going to give us one of the craziest hands that I've had in a while in a deck like this. We're going to have 2 She-Hulks at 9 power. We have up to 3 demons we can play. And or we can do a Hitmonkey combo with all of that as well. So just an absolute bonkers hand that we're going to have on turn 6. So clearly I snap and he will play Sentinel as well as another Sentinel to try to win Luke's bar. So perfect situation. We gave him the priority. And now we're going to kind of sit back, relax, watch whatever he does. We're not too worried about it. And just unload the hand, right? I decided to go ahead and do my hand a little bit differently. I think I stacked it a little heavy on Clintar. So I decided to kind of switch things around and made it a little bit better spaced out. But as you can see, either way, he was not going to stick around. So we would have had 21 power in the middle. We would have had a just bananas, no pun intended there. 17-ish power on the right side. So giant hand. What is that altogether? We have 17. That's like a 38 power hand somewhere in that area. Some quick math. But anyway, really good stuff we want across the board. And that is kind of a textbook game on how to clone your big cards and then just let them flood. You don't always have all those demons, but because you are beast bouncing things back, you do end up getting a hand about that big in power. You get some huge power turns, and we didn't even get death there, which we wouldn't have been able to play, but still, this thing can get out of control. All right, guys, so there you have it. There's everything you need to know about Kill Balance. Super fun archetype, and definitely a deck that if you're a little bit bored and you want to have something competitive against those just terrible Sandman and Galactus decks, this is definitely one to try out. It may not be the top meta option, but it is fun, and it is pretty damn consistent once you learn how to play its mechanics. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, let me know on this new style if you guys like the new resolution for the gameplay. And trust me, we'll have plenty of gameplay videos to follow this one. And it's at this point I want to say thank you guys for hanging out, checking out the deck guide. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe button, especially if you come back time and time again. And until the next one, good luck out there, and of course, happy snapping.